Kurtop here, and these are 100 facts about the past you might not know. Eerie discovery under the floor. An ordinary day for Amelia turned into a real investigation. She noticed that one of the floorboards in her house was loose and decided to lift it to find out the reason. However, instead of a simple breakage, strange objects were found under the board. An old coin from 1904 and a small golden book. Opening the book, she discovered that the pages were unusually thick. Inside were old photographs, creepy images of the house, dark shadows in empty rooms, and mysterious portraits. Perhaps the house holds dark secrets of the past, or maybe the photographs have simply aged. However, Amelia herself was seriously scared by the discovery. She admitted that since then she has felt anxious and wants to know what other secrets her house is hiding. Cemetery of ancient elephant relatives. We have news from the world of ancient animals that will definitely surprise you. Imagine ancient elephants. They're not just big, they're gigantic. Their teeth were so huge that they were called gomphotheres, which means fangs like swords. And it was they who became the heroes of our today's video. Representatives of the Florida Museum of Natural History made an amazing discovery at the Montbrook site. Where the river flowed millions of years ago, they found the fossilized remains of these giants. These huge animals have been dying here for centuries. According to Jonathan Block, the museum's curator, this is the find of the century. The Gomphotherium skeleton found is the most complete in Florida and one of the most complete in North America. Its age is about 5.5 million years. But the most amazing thing about this story is that scientists found several skeletons at once. Usually, archaeologists find only fragments of the skeleton, but several complete skeletons have been found here, including the skeleton of an adult and 7 younger ones. According to scientists, these ancient elephants did not die at the same time. Most likely, Gomphotheria got stuck in one place at different times. Perhaps it was some kind of cursed place where they were trapped, but these are just guesses. Who owns this hand? Today, we will go back in time and plunge into the mysterious world of the ancient Romans. Our starting point will be Fort Vindolanda, one of the first Roman military camps in what is now England. For many centuries, 9 fortifications were built here. In 2018, an amazing discovery was made here. The researchers found a bronze hand the size of a child's. But it's not just a hand. On its palm was a place for something that, unfortunately, has not survived to this day. And yet, at the base of the hand, there is a hole, as if it was attached to something. The mystery becomes even more interesting, because the hand was found near the temple of Jupiter Dolichin. Most likely, the hand was part of some religious ritual. Similar finds were made in other temples of this god. Now you can see this hand in the Vindolanda Museum. This is a vivid reminder that temple life and the practices associated with the worship of Dolichin were much richer than people previously thought. And the most interesting thing is that all knowledge about the cult of Jupiter Dolichin is based on rare inscriptions, sculptures, and other examples of art found in different parts of the former Roman Empire. So every new discovery is a step towards unraveling this ancient mystery. What do you think this hand could be used for? Could this hand be used for some mystical purpose? Write your opinion in the comments and don't forget to subscribe to the channel so as not to miss the new video. And I will continue. The oldest Masonic artifact. This brass square is one of the earliest Masonic artifacts in the world. It was found in 1830 under the foundations of Balliol Bridge in Limerick, Ireland. It dates back to 1507, making it an important piece of early Freemasonry. On one side are engraved the words, "I will strive to live with love and care," and on the other, "according to the compass and the square." These phrases echo the key principles of Freemasonry: honesty, justice, and brotherhood. The square and compass are traditional symbols of Freemasons, associated with rightness of action and equality of people. How this object ended up under the bridge is a mystery. Perhaps it was laid as a symbolic stone of good luck during construction. In any case, this is a rare artifact that gives an idea of the origins of Masonic traditions back in the early 16th century. Stela of Merneptah. The long slavery of the Jews to the Egyptians and their subsequent exit from Egypt constitute one of the most confusing chapters in the history of ancient Egypt. Although archaeological evidence for this event is limited, each find is of great significance. There is an opinion that there is no evidence of the presence of Jews in Egypt at the time of the Exodus, but this is not true. The most famous piece of evidence is the stela of Pharaoh Merneptah, discovered at Thebes in 1896. It relates to Merneptah's military achievements and contains the oldest mention of Israel. The stele defines Israel not as a state, but as a people at war with Egypt. This fact is interesting because Merneptah was a descendant of Ramses II, a possible pharaoh from the Book of Exodus. According to the Bible, the exodus of the Jews marked the beginning of the formation of Jewish statehood. Merneptah may have witnessed the emergence of Egyptian dominance in the region, which subsequently weakened under Ramses VI. During this period, new states were formed mainly by migrants from southern Italy, the Aegean Sea, and western Anatolia. The mention of Israel may confirm the biblical version of the return of the Israelites to their lands from the south. Pyramid of the oldest civilization. The Norte Chico culture, also known as Caral Soup, is considered one of the oldest and most advanced civilizations of the Andes. It existed about 5,000 years ago and achieved significant advances in architecture, agriculture, and social organization. Archaeologists recently discovered a pyramidal structure about a kilometer from the sacred city of Caral Soup in the Soup Valley, Peru. The structure is a quadrangular building with a wide staircase leading to the top. Its walls are decorated with massive vertical stones, huancas, which may have had not only structural but also ritual significance. In addition to the pyramid, the researchers found 12 public and ceremonial buildings located around a central plaza of almost 39 hectares. This indicates the existence of a small urban center with administrative and religious functions. 3 platforms were identified in the pyramid, which indicates a complex architectural tradition of the Caral civilization. At the Chupatsigaro site, archaeologists also discovered a unique geoglyph, made in the Sechina style. It depicts a human profile and is likely associated with rituals reflecting access to the region's marine and agricultural resources. Ancient artifact weighing 3 tons. A farmer from the Spanish town of Baena, uprooting an olive tree, stumbled upon a huge stone object. The photo posted by the local city hall shows that it looks like a large round stone with 3 grooves on the sides. It turned out to be an ancient Roman millstone, a special device for squeezing olives and extracting olive oil. This device is called a trapedum. It was invented back in Greece and then used throughout the Roman Empire. The trapedum works like this. The workers crush the olives with the help of the second part, which fit perfectly into the round recess and rotated with the help of a long stick. Stone mill, with a height of about 90 centimeters and a diameter of 1.2 meters, weighs as much as 3 tons. Archaeologist Jose Antonio Morena estimated the age of the millstone at 2,000 years, and he suggested that this monumental artifact proves that olives were grown in Baena back in the days of ancient Rome. Today, Baena is also known for its olive oil. Olive groves surround the entire city, and local history is reflected in the Museum of Olive Groves and Oil. So this stone millstone will soon move to the Historical Museum of the city.
Voynich manuscript. One of the most mysterious manuscripts in history, it is an illustrated codex written in an unknown language or code that has not yet been deciphered. According to carbon analysis of the parchment, its creation dates back to the period between 1404 and 1438. Despite research, its origin, authorship, and purpose remain unsolved, which gives rise to many theories and guesses. The manuscript is named after the Polish antiquarian Wilfrid Voynich, who acquired it in 1912. It consists of more than 240 pages with cryptic texts and illustrations that depict bizarre plants, astronomical diagrams, strange people, and unknown chemical processes. The unique language of the manuscript has no analogues, and the font and structure of the text have led to the emergence of many hypotheses. Some scholars suggest that it may be a coded message created using sophisticated cryptography, while others believe that the manuscript is a description of a natural or artificial language. There are theories that the manuscript may have been a hoax, created to confuse scientists and seekers of ancient knowledge. Other versions suggest that it is a scientific or medical reference book, perhaps devoted to alchemy or botany. Some even believe that the Voynich manuscript is a work of speculative fiction or mythopoetry, which is still waiting to be deciphered.
Zombie spiders. While exploring caves in Northern Ireland, scientists have discovered a new type of fungus that can hijack spiders and control their behavior. The fungus works in a similar way to the zombie fungi found in tropical forests, forcing infected insects to spread its spores. The study was conducted by a team led by Dr. Harry Evans, with the participation of specialists from the Natural History Museum of Denmark and the Royal Botanic Gardens Kew. The new species was named Gibellula attenboroughi in honor of Sir David Attenborough. Analysis showed that it parasitizes orb weaver spiders, forcing them to change their usual behavior. The researchers noticed that infected spiders left the walls of the caves and moved to the ceiling, which is unusual for these species. It is assumed that the fungus controls the nervous system of the victim, directing it to places favorable for the spread of spores. Who witnessed the extinction of dinosaurs? Imagine you are on a walk and you meet a dinosaur. Crazy thought, right? But today's story is just about that. Bear with me, because scientists have discovered something incredible. Dinosaurs and human ancestors lived together on the same planet. This amazing story was told to us by scientists from the University of Bristol and the University of Fribourg. They studied mammalian fossils and concluded that our distant ancestors, placental mammals including primates, appeared before the dinosaurs disappeared. We always thought dinosaurs were extinct and then mammals came on the scene, including our ancestors. But scientists are challenging this idea. Imagine the picture. Small primates, perhaps your great-great-great, well, you get the idea, running past huge dinosaurs. It's strange and funny to imagine such a thing, isn't it? Emily Carlisle, one of the authors of this study, said that they studied thousands of fossils and noticed interesting patterns in the emergence and extinction of different groups of animals. According to their estimates, early mammals evolved exactly at the time when dinosaurs still lived. In general, our ancestors could have witnessed an amazing event, the extinction of dinosaurs. And although we do not know exactly what they looked like, most likely they were small creatures from the order of primates. This truly amazing discovery is changing our understanding of our planet's past. Shaman burial. On the banks of the Tigris River in Turkey, archaeologists have discovered a 12,000-year-old burial site that may belong to a female shaman. Her remains were found in the Neolithic settlement of Çimkahuyuk. Skeletons of wild animals were found next to her: partridge wings, marten paws, goat or sheep bones, and an aurochs skull. Researchers suggest that the woman could have been an intermediary between the world of people and spirits. Shamans played an important role in ancient societies, conducting rituals associated with nature and supernatural forces. The burial was carefully sealed with a limestone slab, which may indicate fear of the possible return of the deceased. There is a version that she was considered special or even dangerous to society. Archaeologists will conduct DNA and isotope analysis of the bones to find out who she was, what she ate, and what role she played in her tribe. Skeletons in unusual graves. In the Negev desert in southern Israel, archaeologists have discovered burials that are about 2,500 years old. Can you imagine? And inside them are as many as 50 skeletons, which according to researchers may belong to women sold into slavery. The most interesting thing about these finds is the shape of the tombs. So far, we are used to seeing round-shaped burials in the Negev desert, but these two tombs are unique and have square dimensions. Plus, they are located in a very unusual place, at the crossroads of two trade routes that once connected Egypt, Jordan, and the Arabian Peninsula. Scientists note that such burials at crossroads are not as surprising as they might seem. After all, people dying in the harsh conditions of the desert from disease or violence often remain buried exactly where they died. However, in ancient times, such crossroads were considered sacred places with ritual and religious significance. Now, about the most important thing, during the excavations, many artifacts were found dating back to about 5 centuries BC. All of them are produced in different places: the southern Levant, the southern Arabian Peninsula, and of course, Egypt. This, as well as amulets found in the tombs, support the assumption that women who were sold into slavery and transported from Egypt were buried here. But this is yet to be confirmed. Lacquer coffin. In 2018, archaeologists discovered a unique 700-year-old lacquer coffin from the Yuan Dynasty in China's Jiangsu province. Its bright red surface was perfectly preserved thanks to a multi-layered lacquer coating that protected the wood from moisture and decay. Lacquer coffins were a symbol of high status in China, and their creation required complex technologies. The lacquer was applied in several layers and then polished to a shine. This method of preservation allowed the coffin to survive centuries with virtually no damage. The find is also important because the Yuan Dynasty left relatively few burials, and this coffin can tell us a lot about the funeral traditions of that time. Decorated Roman sandal. The recent archaeological breakthrough in the Roman town of Lucas Asturum in Spain has become a real sensation. At this picturesque site, which served as an important administrative center between the 1st and 4th centuries, a remarkably preserved 2,000-year-old Roman sandal was discovered. During the excavation, scientists found an ancient well in which the lost shoes were found. In order to carefully remove it, archaeologists used a special system. These shoes were special. They had unique patterns in the form of circles, ovals, and falcon figures. It is noteworthy that among all the known Roman sandals in Spain, only this one is decorated. The silt at the bottom of the well protected it from time, creating conditions that prevented destruction. In addition to the sandal, many other items were found in the well: a wooden lid, jug, seeds, shellfish, and metal objects. At the moment, the sandal is under guard in the refrigerator until restoration work is completed. This Roman sandal is a stunning moment in history, providing a glimpse into the creativity and daily life of the ancient Romans.
Altamira Cave. In the province of Cantabria, Spain is one of the most famous caves with prehistoric art in the world. These polychrome cave paintings, which are between 15000 and 36000 years old, belong to the Magdalenian culture of the late Paleolithic. The walls of the cave depict realistic scenes of animals such as bison, horses, and deer, made with charcoal and natural pigments. In addition to the animals, there are also human handprints, which gives this place not only artistic but also deep symbolic value. The cave was accidentally discovered in 1868 by a local resident, Modesto Cubillas, but it gained worldwide fame thanks to the research of Marcelino Sanz de Sautuola in the late 19th century. His work helped convince the world that these works of art were created by prehistoric man, because for a long time scientists believed that these drawings were modern. The Altamira cave offers a unique insight into the art and life of ancient people. The complexity and expressiveness of the drawings testify to the advanced culture and creativity of the primitive artists. Access to the original cave is currently restricted to preserve these unique works, but there is a museum nearby with an exact copy of the drawings, allowing visitors to experience the grandeur of this ancient gallery. Excavations in a powder keg. Archaeologists have discovered Paleolithic sites and artifacts dating back about 1.5 million years in the desert of western Iraq. The finds include hand axes and stone tools, shedding light on the early history of the region and ancient human activity. The research was carried out in the Al-Shabaka region, where geoarchaeologist Ella Egberts and her team studied ancient soil layers and traces of human activity. They identified 7 sites in an area of 10x 20 kilometers, as well as more than 850 artifacts, including stone axes from the early Paleolithic. There was once a large lake here, leaving behind dry riverbeds. Ancient people probably used the region for hunting and making tools. Scientists believe that further research will help to better understand how the landscape changed and which groups of people inhabited it in ancient times. The project involved Iraqi students studying geoarchaeology and Paleolithic studies. Despite the unstable political situation, the work proceeded without incident. In the future, Egberts plans to expand the research to reconstruct climate change and early human activity in the region.
What a 16-year-old girl from the 7th century looked like. We'll go back 13 centuries to meet a mysterious girl who may have been from the royal family and one of the first Christians in England. Think back to the year 2012. An amazing archaeological find has been discovered on the outskirts of Cambridge, UK. Archaeologists have found the remains of a 16-year-old girl buried in earth from the 7th century. Scientists have recreated her face using 3D modeling technology based on the girl's skull. And while they're not sure about eye and hair color without DNA analysis, the model gives us an idea of what our girl looked like. She had a special feature. Her left eye was slightly lower than the right, which was noticeable when meeting her. Although she was found in Great Britain, she comes from Central Europe, most likely from southern Germany. The secret of her death remains a mystery, but signs of illness indicate that she was battling some kind of ailment. Our girl was buried in the style of a royal person, on a carved wooden bed with a gold and garnet cross, surrounded by jewelry and beautiful clothes. It seems that she was from the aristocracy or even the royal family, and most surprisingly, was a Christian, which at that time was a rarity in England.
Dog sacrifices. Archaeologists have discovered evidence of dog sacrifices near Wolsong Palace, which was the royal residence of Silla in present-day Gyeongju, South Korea. Silla was one of the three kingdoms of Korea which existed from 57 BC to 935 AD. The city of Sorobol, present-day Gyeongju, was the capital where a crescent-shaped fortress palace complex was built. Human and animal remains, likely used in rituals, have previously been found at the main entrance of the palace. A recent expedition uncovered a circular structure on the outskirts of an ancient settlement southwest of the palace. Inside, archaeologists found the bones of 2 dogs, arranged symmetrically, as well as a knife, a wooden comb, shark teeth, and a crystal necklace, all placed in a wooden box. An analysis of the artifacts suggests that the find dates back to the 3rd century BC. Traces of fire around the area indicate that the site may have been burned after the ritual. At the time, the region was part of the Jin-Han Alliance, the predecessor of the Silla Kingdom.
Unique wagon in Russia. Imagine a car made by hand from wood. Instead of wheels, massive wooden discs. Instead of a body, a lattice of intertwined twigs. It is curious, but such a wagon was found by archaeologists in the Rostov region. It was buried in the grave of a 50-year-old man who lived in the 23rd century BC. You will probably ask, how could such an ancient wagon survive? Well, we're just lucky here. The coolest part of the wagon, the frame, that is, the running gear, has been preserved quite well. And you know what's interesting? The masters of those times very carefully selected wood for every detail. For example, the frame was made from maple and the wheels were made from oak. Super deep research even showed that all the trees were native. This means that the wagon was made right there. Our ancestors cut down trees in the forest that was nearby and used them to create their vehicles. The coolest thing about this story is that the ancient inhabitants of these places knew how to work with wood, weave from twigs, and all this with the help of simple bronze tools. So guys, the ancient nomads were not quite as savages as we could imagine. They skillfully used all available resources and created completely unique things. Erotic graffiti. On the island of Astipalaia in Greece, unique archaeological artifacts were found. Some of the oldest erotic carvings and descriptions of intimate relationships between men dating back to the 5th to 6th centuries BC. This discovery was made by Dr. Andreas Vlahopoulos during an excursion with students. The limestone slabs depict male genitals, and nearby are engraved inscriptions in ancient Greek. Nikasitim was here riding Timion, which emphasizes the openness and detail of the depiction of sexual scenes. These finds reveal a personal, intimate side of the life of the ancient Greeks, about which not much is known. Relationships between men in ancient Greece were generally accepted but rarely discussed publicly. The images and inscriptions are made in the style of the time using the Greek alphabet, which makes them important evidence of the cultural and social life of the era. Over the 2 millennia that the graffiti has been exposed to the open air, it has been remarkably well preserved, withstanding weather and erosion. The largest meteorite on Earth. The mysteries of space have always excited minds, and meteorites serve as evidence of mysterious visits from deep space to Earth. An example of such an incredible visitor is the Goba meteorite, discovered in Namibia, which to this day inspires admiration for its size and history. Unlike the Tunguska meteorite, which left many questions and assumptions, Goba is tangible evidence of space travel to our planet. Weighing 60 tons, this gigantic piece of metal, decorated with ancient rust, today flaunts the amphitheater built especially for it and is one of Namibia's main attractions. The history of the discovery of the meteorite began in 1918 when farmer Jacobus Brits, plowing the ground, came across an unusual block. First trying to uproot it and then carefully examining it, Brits discovered that in front of him was an iron meteorite, the composition of which was later determined to be 81% iron and 17% nickel.
This find became a sensation because at that time little was known about meteorites and the farmer dreamed of a big jackpot. The issues of transporting the huge space guest turned out to be so complicated that the sale had to be forgotten. Since then, the Goba meteorite, whose weight has been reduced to 63 tons over time due to chemical erosion and vandalism, has been protected and recognized as a national monument. Today, Goba not only surprises with its size, but is also a living lesson in history and astronomy, reminding us of how small and at the same time important we are in this vast universe. And although tourists continue to leave their marks on it, every scratch is quickly hidden under a layer of rust, as if nature itself is erasing the boundaries between the earthly and the cosmic. Mysterious house in ancient tapestry. The Bayeux Tapestry is one of the most famous medieval works of art, illustrating the Norman conquest of England in 1066. However, it remains a historical mystery. New research has helped to uncover another secret associated with this unique monument. The tapestry, 68.3 meters long, depicts key events before the Battle of Hastings, including the assassination of the last Anglo-Saxon king, Harold II, by Duke William's army. Archaeologists have confirmed that one of the places shown in the tapestry actually existed, Harold's residence in Bosham, England. Using modern technology, researchers examined the structures beneath the 17th century building believed to have been built on the site of a palace. Radar scanning and analysis of old excavations revealed the remains of two medieval buildings and an important find, a toilet, indicating the status of an elite residence. Harold owned several estates, but Bosham was probably his favorite. The palace had moats, granaries, kitchens, and even servants' quarters. This discovery helps to reconstruct the life of the Anglo-Saxon nobility and confirms that the Bayeux Tapestry is not just a work of art, but a valuable historical source. Bronze Age rock paintings. While hiking with his family in the vicinity of Moss, south of Oslo, Tormod Fjeld noticed a pattern on a rock that any passerby might miss. Using an app on his phone, he was able to distinguish between natural and artificial colors on the rock and saw an image of a boat with rowers, as well as animals and people. Experts confirmed the uniqueness of his discovery. This is most likely the first Bronze Age painting in this region of Norway. Tormod is always looking for such pictures. His first find is a petroglyph discovered in 2016 while walking his dog. He didn't know what those strange signs meant, but he wanted to know more. So Tormod began a joint search with archaeologist Magnus Tangen and Lars Ole Klavested, an architect and artist who is also passionate about petroglyphs. Together, they spent many nights in all weathers examining these ancient signs. This kind of research requires passion and dedication. Like magicians, they prefer to explore at dusk or dawn, when the tilted light brings ancient drawings to life. There is even a theory that ancient people used fire to create the effect of movement in petroglyphs. People of an unknown civilization. In the tropical forests of Brazil, in the state of Rondônia, archaeologists have recorded rare footage of people from the isolated Massaco tribe. This tribe, discovered in the 1990s, categorically avoids contact with the outside world and carefully guards its lands, setting up deadly traps made of wooden spikes. These spikes are so strong that they can puncture tractor tires. The Massaco are one of 28 tribes in the Amazon that are completely cut off from civilization. Scientists have installed cameras in the jungle to study them without invading them. Researcher Altamira has been monitoring the tribe since 1992, and thanks to his work, it has been possible to stop deforestation in their territory. Early attempts to contact isolated peoples often ended tragically due to outbreaks of disease. Therefore, the Massaco rejected any offerings, tools, utensils, weapons. They left only sharp thorns at the meeting places, warning strangers that the invasion was undesirable. After the end of contacts and the protection of their lands, the tribe's population increased. In the 90s, about 90 people lived here. Now, 200, 250. Scientists have made maps of their paths and camps, recorded their nomadic farming techniques on satellites. The tribe burns down the savanna and then moves there during the rainy season. The Massaco differ from other tribes in their long bows, up to 3 meters. Anthropologists still do not understand how they shoot from them. Their language is unique and not understood even by other indigenous peoples. Researchers note the number of Massaco is growing, which means that sooner or later they will encounter civilization. But history shows that such contacts rarely end well.
Unfinished antediluvian structure.
In the mysterious valleys of Lebanon lies Baalbek, a city that holds the mysteries of ancient times. A newly discovered structure at the site adds new information, confirming Baalbek's unique significance to archaeology and world culture. For a long time, the megalithic architecture of Baalbek remained a mystery to scientists. The construction methods and reasons for creating such large-scale structures had no analogs. However, the latest discovery offers new interpretations and opportunities for understanding ancient civilizations. Baalbek, located in the Bekaa Valley, is known for its important role in the Hellenistic and Roman periods. Since its conquest by Alexander the Great, the city has undergone significant changes, becoming a bridge between Eastern and Western cultures. Greek culture left its mark on the architecture and art of Baalbek, as can be seen from the stylistic features of its buildings. The Romans, in turn, expanded and strengthened its status as a religious and cultural center by erecting magnificent temples and public buildings. The most famous buildings in Baalbek are the temples dedicated to Jupiter, Venus, and Bacchus. These temples are known not only for their magnificence, but also for the technical achievements embodied in their designs. One of the most significant elements is the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, a giant megalith weighing over 1,000 tons, which was never included in the final design of the temple. The discovery at the quarry in 2014 only added to the mystery surrounding these ancient construction methods. The find showed that ancient builders used technologies ahead of their time, raising questions about the origins and spread of ancient engineering knowledge. Comparing Baalbek with other ancient wonders such as Stonehenge and the Egyptian pyramids, one can see commonalities in the logistics and engineering approaches. For example, transporting the huge stones for Stonehenge or building the pyramids at Giza required not only physical resources, but also advanced planning and astronomical knowledge. Modern archaeological methods such as ground-penetrating radar and 3D scanning are opening new horizons in the study of ancient technologies. Creepy artifact in the garden. A routine walk with a metal detector turned into a creepy find. A California resident accidentally discovered a mysterious chest buried in a friend's garden. At first, he expected to find only small items like coins or bottle caps, but instead he came across a heavy metal box covered in strange symbols. When the men opened the chest, they expected to see something valuable, but inside there was only dirt and a few plastic flowers. The main concern was the SS emblem, the symbol of Nazi Germany. Among the versions, the chest could have been used by soldiers of World War II to transport trophies. Despite many theories, the origin of the chest remains a mystery. Who buried it and why? Why is there only trash inside? Perhaps soon historians will be able to solve the mystery of this find. Griffins from the pharmacy. And now let's move on to the depths of mystical St. Petersburg, Russia, where the walls of old houses are literally saturated with the spirit of the past. And our characters today are an incredibly intriguing Russian chemist and his griffins. Alexander Pell is a scientist, brilliant chemist, teacher, and publisher of his own journal. He opened and owned one of the oldest pharmacies in St. Petersburg, invented a unique way to store medicines in glass ampules, and even developed his own medicine. However, it is his alchemical experiments that are at the center of our attention today. Imagine, the famous chemist, using his powerful scientific and technical base, not only works on solving important medical problems, but also is looking for the philosopher's stone, or rather, as they say, he found it. But that is not all. In the courtyard of Pell's pharmacy on Vasilyevsky Island, there was his laboratory, where, according to city rumors, the chemist brought out griffins. Yes, those same creatures from myths and legends. At night, they allegedly left their tower, now known as the Griffin Tower, and fluttered around the area, frightening the locals. In the 90s, mysterious numbers began to appear on the tower, which mysticism lovers immediately declared the formula of happiness derived by Pell himself. In fact, it was an art project of one St. Petersburg artist, but these figures continue to be updated to this day. So, fans of history and mysteries, if you are lucky enough to visit St. Petersburg, be sure to check out the museum located in this tower. Who knows, maybe you will be lucky and you will be able to see the shadows of griffins or their reflections in the windows of neighboring houses. Or maybe you will even be able to decipher the very formula of happiness. After all, as they say, until proven otherwise, griffins exist. Perhaps they are just waiting in the wings to give each of us a piece of happiness. And I am ready to give you stories about new finds of archaeologists and interesting events of the past, which will take your breath away. Frozen Scythian boot.
This boot is a real artifact of the past which is more than 2,300 years old. It was found in one of the burial mounds of the Altai Mountains where it was perfectly preserved due to the permafrost. This is a Scythian shoe made of leather and decorated with intricate patterns, and the sole is strewn with bright beads. Such decor speaks of the high status of the owner. Most likely it was part of the outfit of a noble Scythian man or even a noble Scythian woman. The Scythians were famous not only for their military skill, but also for their ability to make things that could pass for works of art. Their clothes were not only practical, but also incredibly beautiful. Interestingly, the sole of the boot is also decorated. Perhaps it was a ritual element or just a desire to look stylish even after death. Filling the dead with plaster. Archaeologists have used state-of-the-art technology to shed light on one of the strangest Roman burial traditions involving filling the body of the deceased with plaster. Gypsum was poured directly into the coffin, enveloping the entire body. It turned out something like a 3D model of the deceased. These Roman plaster burials are found throughout Europe and North Africa. About 45 such burials have been discovered in Roman Britain. Scientists scanned 16 plaster burials from the Yorkshire Museum in the UK. The scan revealed a plaster coffin containing the remains of 2 adults and an infant who died together. And what do these 3D models give us? They detailed the shape, size, and position of each of the deceased, as well as how they were dressed or wrapped. It turns out that 3D visualization is a huge help in studying ancient finds. So why did the Romans engage in such strange burial practices? Scientists suggest that this could be due to high social status. Regardless of the reasons, this unusual funerary practice has proved super useful for archaeologists. Plaster prints retain a ton of detail that is usually lost over time, including the clothes of the deceased. The oldest knives made from shark teeth. On the Indonesian island of Sulawesi, archaeologists have found 2 tiger shark teeth turned into knives that are about 7,000 years old. This find provides evidence of the ancient use of shark teeth as weapons. Before this, the oldest specimens discovered were 2,000 years younger. These dental blades are associated with the mysterious Tolian culture, ancient hunter-gatherers who lived on the island long before the arrival of Neolithic farmers. The teeth, about 2 meters long, had special holes indicating their attachment to the handle. According to scientists, these blades may have been used in rituals or battles. While shark teeth may seem like an unusual choice for a weapon, ancient cultures used what was available. These knives were sharp, but their blades could quickly become dull. Ancient people around the world used shark teeth for cultural purposes, turning them into weapons or even tattoo tools. This shows their respect for these marine predators. Sistine Chapel of Ancient Egypt. Here is one of the most stunning tombs of ancient Egypt, the tomb of Queen Nefertari, wife of Ramses II. It is over 3,200 years old and is often called the Sistine Chapel of Egypt because of its incredible paintings. Unlike many other tombs, this one amazes not only with its scale, but also with its bright, almost untouched colors. On the walls are scenes from the Book of the Dead, images of gods and Nefertari herself going to the afterlife. The Egyptians believed that such paintings would help the deceased pass the trials and achieve eternal life. The detail is amazing. Fine lines, intricate patterns, vivid colors, all this makes the tomb a real masterpiece. Unfortunately, many sections of the walls have been damaged by time, but restorers have managed to preserve its grandeur. Today, this tomb is considered one of the most beautiful in the Valley of the Queens and a true window into the world of ancient Egyptian art. Ancient funerary ossuaries. And now I will tell you about 3 stone urns, which are already 1850 years old. They were found near the Israeli city of Kafr Khana in the Galilee. Stone urns, also called ossuaries, were used in ancient times to store skeletal remains. This was traditional for the Jews of Judea and Galilee during the period of the Roman Empire, beginning around the 1st century BC. These urns were discovered in ancient burial caves, accidentally destroyed during construction work. Of the 3 urns, only fragments survived and they were all empty. Immediately, there was a suspicion of looting. Police have already launched an investigation, and construction on the site has been halted. The destruction of the caves caused irreversible damage. Archaeologists are urging people to be vigilant and report suspicious activity in places where there may be archaeological sites. The researchers collected all the ossuaries found and carefully studied them, and that's what they found. Urns are made in the Greek style, which was typical for the Jewish population in the Roman period. And the most interesting thing, one of the urns depicts a round wreath with drilled holes. It is believed that this is a symbol of the victory of the deceased over death. Olduvai Gorge. Tanzania is home to one of the most important paleoanthropological sites on Earth, playing a key role in understanding the evolution of early humans. The site contains extensive evidence of ancient hominin activity dating back more than 2 million years. The numerous sites and tools discovered here have given scientists a unique opportunity to study the development of early human cultures and their social structures. One of the most valuable finds at Olduvai Gorge are the stone tools that allow us to trace the technological progress of ancient hominins. These tools, used for hunting and butchering animals, as well as for processing plants, indicate the beginnings of complex social and economic life. In addition to the tools, archaeologists have found animal remains with clear signs of hunting and processing, indicating that prey was hunted and processed for further use.
Giant from the USA. At the end of the 19th century, deep in the dense forests of North America near a small settlement that is today known as the Black Hills, South Dakota, a discovery occurred that shocked the scientific world of the time. A local forester, walking along his usual routes, came across an unusually large stone protruding from the ground. He was surprised by its size and unusual shape and decided to invite a group of archaeologists from a nearby university. When archaeologists began excavating, they discovered that the stone was actually part of a giant stone sarcophagus. Inside, they found the well-preserved remains of a man whose height exceeded 3 meters. This discovery caused much controversy among scientists of the time, some of whom argued that the find could shed light on the existence of ancient giants mentioned in the legends and myths of many cultures around the world. Despite significant interest from the scientific community, much of the information about the find and the object itself have been lost over time. Only a couple of photographs taken during the excavations and a few entries in the personal diaries of the expedition members have remained to this day. These photographs, although not very clear due to the limitations of technology at the time, show the enormous size of the skeleton compared to the people who excavated it. Rich in history and mystery, the Black Hills continue to attract explorers and adventurers eager to uncover the secrets of ancient civilizations and perhaps find lost archaeological treasures. Thus, the story of the archaeological discovery of an ancient giant man remains one of the most mysterious and unsolved pages in the history of archaeology.
Barelek Cemetery. Yakutia, Barelek River. You won't find any shells or beautiful stones here, but you can stumble upon ancient tusks and skulls sticking out of the ground. This is one of the largest mammoth cemeteries on the planet. Thousands of bones, some thousands of years old, hold the mysteries of the past. Why did so many animals die in one place? The cemetery was first discovered in 1947, but the first serious studies began only in the 1970s. Scientists then suggested that mammoths came to the river in search of food, but the swampy banks could not support their weight and the animals drowned. Lighter animals could pass further without problems. Over 39 years, paleontologists have extracted more than 8.5 thousand bones from the ground, 99.5% of which belong to mammoths. At least 150 individuals have been found, but time, smugglers, and even ancient people have left their mark. A site was discovered nearby where our ancestors split mammoth bones to create tools and weapons. The latest research has shown that hunters did not come here by chance. They purposefully drove mammoths into this area. For 1,000 years, people regularly returned to this place, getting meat and tusks. This cemetery is not just a natural phenomenon, but traces of an ancient hunting strategy. Imagine, in 1,000 years, humanity has gone from nomadic hunting to space exploration. And in the past, people could return to the same place for centuries for the sake of survival. We will probably never achieve such stability again. Legionnaire's helmet in good condition. We are opening a portal to ancient Rome right in Russia in the Krasnodar territory. Archaeologists have made an amazing discovery near the village of Zaria, a bronze helmet from Roman times. Imagine, this helmet, once shiny and new, was worn on the head of a formidable rider. And it was not found just like that. It was buried along with its brave rider and their faithful horses. This was discovered during excavations of an ancient burial ground. The peculiarity of this helmet is the absence of a metal bracket on the frontal part, which could usually be removed while wearing. Maybe it was some kind of ritual, or maybe just part of the fashion of the time. But what is really surprising is that the helmet may be a Roman legionnaire or a local imitation of a Roman prototype. Its shape is reminiscent of Hagenau-type helmets from the 1st century BC. This opens a new page in history for us during the Roman Bosporus War between Mithridates of Bosporus and his brother Cotys, the events of which are still shrouded in mystery. One Roman legionary helmet has already been discovered in the Sochi region, but our example has excellently preserved cheek pads with movable hinges. After processing, this artifact will be sent to the museum for everyone to see. The world's oldest runestone. Archaeologists in Norway have made a sensational discovery, possibly the oldest known runestone. Sandstone fragments with runes carved into them were found in separate graves at the ancient cemetery of Svingerud. Researchers have discovered that the pieces fit together like a puzzle, forming a single stone with a unique engraving. Runes are ancient letters used to write Germanic languages before the transition to the Latin alphabet. The origin of runic writing remains a subject of debate, but early alphabets were used before 700 AD. Dating the stone using radiocarbon analysis showed that it is between 50 BC and 275 AD, making it the oldest known runic monument. What is special about the find is that the inscriptions on the stone are an unusual mixture of runes and unknown symbols. The carvings may have been made by different people at different times, and the stone itself may have been reused. Researchers believe that it originally served as a memorial marker for one grave, but was later broken and redistributed among other burials. Tomb in Tel Aviv. During construction in Palmachim Park near Tel Aviv, an ancient tomb with many artifacts was found. The Israel Antiquities Authority published a video showing clay vessels, bronze arrowheads, and spearheads. These ritual offerings are approximately 3,300 years old, dating back to the time of Ramses II. Archaeologist David Gelman suggests that the people buried with weapons may have been warriors or ship guards. Gelman considers the find surprising since the cave remained untouched for thousands of years. This is reminiscent of footage from a movie about Indiana Jones. Underground objects are preserved in their original form, as if ancient people left them yesterday.
Ball of yarn. 3 balls of yarn dating back 3,000 years have been found during excavations at an ancient Bronze Age site in England known as Britain's Pompeii. They were discovered in underground houses built in swampy areas. One of the balls was charred, raising questions about how it could have survived the fire without being damaged. The composition of the yarn has not yet been established due to the fragility of the artifacts. The lack of information about the composition of yarn causes controversy among scientists, especially when it comes to materials such as wool or plant fibers. It is assumed that the balls found could have been made from flax or nettle. All this suggests that the history of knitting and the use of textile materials in ancient times remains poorly understood and full of mysteries. Archaeologists are still trying to determine the purpose of these ancient textiles, many of which may have been lost or damaged in the fire that destroyed the settlement. This makes the task of reconstructing historical context even more difficult. Tomb of the Last Anunnaki King. Gilgamesh, king of Uruk, is one of the most important and mysterious figures in the history of ancient Mesopotamia. He not only became the central figure in one of the oldest epic poems, but also left a deep mark on culture and religion. Gilgamesh, whose name is still surrounded by mysticism, was an outstanding ruler whose achievements became the basis for many myths and legends. During his reign, Gilgamesh was known as a great builder, strategist, and warrior. He is credited with creating the massive city walls of Uruk, which protected the inhabitants from enemies and natural disasters. These walls, according to legend, were so impressive that the gods themselves took part in their construction. In addition, the reign of Gilgamesh is associated with a period of economic prosperity and cultural flourishing, which made Uruk an important center of the ancient world. Gilgamesh became a central figure in mythology thanks to the epic poem about his exploits known as the Epic of Gilgamesh. This literary monument, found in the library of the Assyrian king Ashurbanipal in Nineveh, describes the travels and adventures of Gilgamesh, his struggles with natural and supernatural forces, and his quest for immortality. This poem is not only an essential source for the study of ancient Mesopotamian culture, but also reflects the eternal human aspirations and experiences. Archaeological finds confirm the historicity of Gilgamesh. Excavations at Uruk and other Mesopotamian cities have uncovered many artifacts, including cuneiform tablets with texts and inscriptions mentioning his name. Of particular importance is the found tomb, which, according to some versions, may belong to Gilgamesh himself. This discovery, if confirmed, could be key to understanding the historical figure of Gilgamesh. Among the archaeological finds, particular attention is drawn to texts describing the Anunnaki, deities who played an important role in the mythology of ancient Mesopotamia. The Anunnaki, believed to be the descendants of the sky god An and the earth goddess Ki, were associated with the creation of humanity and control of its destiny. Theories about the influence of the Anunnaki extend far beyond Mesopotamia, linking them with other ancient civilizations and even with extraterrestrial visitors from the planet Nibiru. Comparing the Nibiru theory with other theories of cataclysms, such as the flood or the fall of the Tunguska meteorite, demonstrates a wide range of hypotheses about the origin and development of humanity. The discovery of Gilgamesh's tomb could shed light on many aspects of the life and reign of this legendary king, as well as confirm or refute numerous myths about him.
Why is a bottle of wine 750 milliliters? Why is the volume of a wine bottle 750 milliliters and not 1 liter? There are many theories surrounding this question. Some believe that this volume is convenient for a European family to have dinner with, while others associate it with the optimal storage of wine. Some argue that this is a historically established standard for glassblowers, while others are sure that 750 milliliters is simply a convenient volume for transportation. However, the real reason lies in the trade calculations of the 19th century. At that time, wine was actively exported from France to England, where the gallon system was used. 1 gallon was approximately 4.5 liters, and a standard French wine barrel held 225 liters. When divided into 750 milliliters bottles, there were exactly 300 pieces. To simplify trade, it was decided to count batches in this volume. 1 gallon was 6 bottles and a case was 12. This standard has survived to this day. In addition to wine, alcohol played an important role in earlier eras. For example, the Sumerians used weak beer, about 2.5% ABV, to disinfect water. And the first traces of wine were found in Georgia and Armenia, making them the birthplaces of winemaking. Interestingly, in the 1970s, the United States planned to switch to liter bottles, but research showed that 750 milliliters is the ideal volume for wine maturation. As a result, this standard became global, retaining its significance even in countries with a metric system. What were the rewards for ancient Roman soldiers? Let's remember the Roman Empire and fast forward to Vindolanda, an ancient Roman camp in the north of England. There, amateur archaeologists made an amazing discovery, a silver medallion or phalaera depicting the head of the Gorgon Medusa. Vindolanda is not just a fort, this is a real open-air museum, which attracts archaeologists from all over the world. Hundreds of people work here as volunteers every year. The excavations of Vindolanda reveal to us a picture of everyday life on the outskirts of the Roman Empire. The fort, which stands 1.5 kilometers from Hadrian's Wall, was built around 85 AD to protect against the Celtic tribes. The garrison included soldiers from territories conquered by Rome, including what today we call Belgium, Germany, and France. The fort was rebuilt many times. In its place, 9 layers of different fortresses were found, one on top of the other. Now the ruins of the 3rd century are visible. The fortress walls, the headquarters building, the commander's house, granaries, barracks, and even an outer settlement with shops and a bathhouse. It was in one of the barracks that a unique medallion with the image of the Gorgon Medusa was found. Despite its impressive age of 1900 years, it is perfectly preserved. Hagar Qim. The Hagar Qim Temple in Malta is one of the most ancient and impressive megalithic structures, dating back to the Gantija phase of 3600–3200 BC. Situated on a hill overlooking the Mediterranean Sea, this temple complex represents one of the most important archaeological evidences of ancient civilizations that existed long before the construction of the pyramids in Egypt and Stonehenge in England. Hagar Qim and other megalithic temples of Malta have been recognized as unique masterpieces of architecture. The temple is built from massive stone blocks, some of which weigh up to 20 tons. The complex has a crescent-shaped facade, which is typical for Maltese temples of that era. Architectural features include internal halls, niches, and altars, which indicate the ritual and religious function of this structure. Statues symbolizing fertility were found inside the temples. An interesting detail of Hagar Qim is its orientation. The temple is designed in such a way that on the day of the summer solstice, the first rays of the sun penetrate through the central entrance and illuminate the interior of the complex. This fact points to the astronomical knowledge of the ancient builders and their deep connection with natural cycles. Mummy of a Yakut lion. In November 2024, Russian paleontologists completed the study of a unique find, the mummy of a Homotherium kitten that had lain in the Yakut permafrost for about 35,000 years. This is one of the rarest specimens of ancient predators that dominated vast territories for millions of years, from North America to Africa. Homotheriums were powerful predators, competing with lions, saber-toothed tigers, and even hyenas. They hunted in packs, and their fangs, although shorter than those of smilodons, were thicker and stronger, allowing them to pierce the skin of large animals, such as young mammoths. Unlike solitary ambush smilodons, Homotheriums preferred driven hunts, like wolves. Their powerful paws and developed chests made them hardy pursuers. The find from Yakutia allowed scientists to study the kitten's appearance in detail. At 3 weeks old, it already had a massive neck, a wide muzzle, and paws resembling skis ideal for moving through the snow. A comparison with a modern lion cub showed that Homotherium was stockier and more muscular. Despite its adaptations, Homotherium became extinct about 10,000 years ago. Their specialized hunting strategy proved ineffective in the face of melting glaciers and competition with primitive humans. Mysterious drink in a jug. The oldest distilled alcohol in China, dating back more than 3,000 years, has been found. This rare liquid, found in a bronze vessel from the Yuan Dynasty, proves that distillation technology appeared in China much earlier than previously thought. The owl-shaped vessel was found in 2010 in Tomb M 257 in Daxinzhuang, Shandong Province. Due to corrosion, it was impossible to open immediately. It was not until 2024, after careful restoration, that researchers were able to look inside. To their surprise, the vessel contained a clear liquid, which was preserved thanks to the tight seal. Analysis in a lab at Shandong University confirmed that it was distilled liquor. It did not contain the sugars and organic acids characteristic of fermented wine, but had a neutral pH of 5.8. This distinguishes it from previously known alcoholic beverages from the Neolithic and Zhou dynasties. Interstellar object. Imagine, hidden in the depths of the Pacific Ocean is a mystery that only a brave explorer can solve. No, this is not about the new Pirates of the Caribbean series. This is a real scientific story told by renowned Harvard astrophysicist Avi Loeb. Since 2017, he has been claiming that the asteroid Oumuamua that fell into the ocean is a crashed probe of an alien civilization. Can you guys imagine if this is true? Avi Loeb decided not to leave this hypothesis without testing and put together a research team. So, what did they find? At the bottom of the ocean off the coast of Papua New Guinea, 50 iron balls, microscopic in size, were found, which usually remain from meteorites that burn up in the Earth's atmosphere. Loeb called them molten blobs from a fireball, and argues that they have incredible strength and may come from a natural environment other than the solar system or an extraterrestrial technological civilization. Scientists examined these balls and found that they are stronger than any other space material that has ever been recorded by NASA. Their composition indicates a super strong iron, unlike anything we know. This discovery could help future scientific expeditions find evidence of alien life with even greater accuracy. Loeb and his team hope to find even more evidence through Project Galileo. Next year's goal is to find a larger IM-1 artifact on the ocean floor. They may not find what they are looking for, but the scientist is sure that they will learn something new anyway. So stick with us, guys, and you will be aware of all the most amazing stories from the world of science and archaeology. Antikythera mechanism. It is impossible not to mention the most unique archaeological discovery, which many consider to be the first known analog computer, the Antikythera mechanism. This complex device was created to predict astronomical events such as planetary positions and solar eclipses, and could track cycles including the 4-year period of the Olympic Games. It also allowed for the accurate calculation of lunar phases and solar years. Its functionality and complexity are astounding, considering that it was created more than 2,000 years ago between 150 and 100 BC.
The Antikythera mechanism was discovered in 1901 in the wreckage of an ancient ship that sank near the Greek island of Antikythera. Its discovery was a real sensation, since the mechanism consists of many bronze gears and wheels, which makes it incredibly complex for its time. The largest gear in the device has a diameter of about 13 centimeters, and the overall design indicates a high level of skill of ancient engineers. Scientists continue to study the artifact to this day, using modern technology such as X-rays and 3D scanning to uncover all of its functions. The Antikythera mechanism is considered evidence that the ancient Greeks possessed knowledge and technology that was lost for centuries after. The African continent is splitting apart. Scientists have found that Africa will split into two continents much faster than previously thought. In 2005, a 56.5 kilometers long crack appeared in the Ethiopian desert, which continues to widen at a rate of 1.5 centimeters per year. This is part of a large-scale process associated with the East African Rift Valley, a giant 3,200 kilometers long fault that appeared 22 million years ago. It was previously believed that Africa would split in tens of millions of years, but University of California professor Ken McDonald predicts that this will happen in just 5 million years. As a result, the Indian Ocean will flood East Africa, forming a new continent that will include Somalia, Kenya, Tanzania, and half of Ethiopia. The Great Lakes of Africa, which contain 25% of the Earth's fresh water, were formed precisely because of the tectonic fault. According to former NASA consultant Alexandra Doughton, these processes are ongoing, and over time, East Africa will completely separate, forming a new ocean. Modern satellite data and seismic scanning confirm that volcanic activity in the region is increasing. In 2018, heavy rains led to the formation of new faults in Kenya, and locals felt tremors. Experts also believe that Madagascar will eventually split into two islands. Although these changes are imperceptible on a human timescale, earthquakes and volcanic eruptions will become more frequent, marking the birth of a new continent. Largest ancient axe. Today we have some really big news from Kent, in Britain. Researchers at the University of California have discovered stone tools that are over 300,000 years old. Just imagine, these artifacts were made back in the era of cavemen. Among the 800 stone artifacts found in the deep deposits of the Ice Age, there are two huge flint axes, one of which is more than 29 centimeters long. This, guys, is an absolute record for Britain. The researchers suggest that these huge tools were used for butchering meat. But according to archaeologists, the axes are so large that it's hard to imagine how they could be held and used. Perhaps they had a rather symbolic function, demonstrating the skill and strength of the owner. But for now, these are all assumptions, and researchers continue to work on studying these artifacts. Mysterious Tomb 157. During excavations in the eastern part of Croatia, in the settlement of Raseza, archaeologists discovered a mysterious medieval burial site called Tomb 157. It attracted attention due to its unusual location and strange ritual features. The tomb was located under the floor of an ancient church along the southern wall, and on the remains of the deceased lay massive stones, which, according to researchers, could have been placed there specifically to prevent his possible resurrection. This fact, as well as the special position of the body, led to the assumption that the burial is associated with the belief in vampires. Anthropological analysis showed that the remains belonged to a man aged 50 who performed heavy physical labor during his life. However, the most mysterious thing is the deliberate damage to the skeleton. His torso was directed downwards and the head was separated from the body. Such unusual burial practices were previously encountered in Europe and were often associated with the fear of the dead who could return to life. The historical context also adds special significance to the find. The settlement of Roches existed from the 13th to the 16th century and belonged first to the Templars, then to the Hospitallers, and later passed into the hands of local nobility. Archaeologists have discovered 181 burials here over 15 years. Some graves contain traces of non-standard burial rituals, including decapitated bodies and dislocated bones, which testifies to ancient superstitions and fears. An analysis of historical sources confirms that even after the adoption of Christianity, belief in evil spirits continued to persist in Slavic countries.
New Maya City. In the jungles of the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico, scientists have discovered a stunning find, a forgotten city of the ancient Mayan civilization, which is over 1,000 years old. In the Balamku Reserve, a team of archaeologists found a city on 50 hectares of land. Imagine, it's like 70 football fields, and there are many buildings here, including 5-meter-high pyramids and even a ball field. They named the city Ocumtun, which means stone pillar in the Mayan language, and all because a lot of columns were found there. This city was an important site for the Maya about 1,000 years ago. Ocumtun was found thanks to aerial laser scanning. But the most interesting thing in this city is the Mayan sports scoreboard. At the archaeological site in Chichen Itza, they found a large stone circle where hieroglyphs were engraved, and next to it was an image of a football match. The Maya not only built pyramids, but were also fans of sports. Faces on stone. A drought in the Brazilian region has caused water levels in the Amazon River to reach record lows, leading to the discovery of faces and other figures engraved on ancient stone that is more than 2,000 years old. These petroglyphs, including images of animals and other natural forms, were found on the banks of the Rio Negro at an archaeological site known as Ponto das Lajes, Place of the Slabs. Researchers estimate that the paintings are between 1,000 and 2,000 years old. The stones, in addition to images of faces and water, also have grooves, indicating that the site was used to create stone tools. Archaeologists discovered 25 groups of engravings on one rock. The find indicates that this place was used for sharpening various tools. In addition, fragments of ceramics were found at this site. Although Ponto das Lajes is recognized as an archaeological site, the petroglyphs have not yet been studied. What other secrets do you think the Amazon is hiding? Share your thoughts in the comments. Log coffin culture. An ancient legacy left by a culture that flourished in northwestern Thailand is surprising archaeologists with its unique burial customs. Some 40 burial sites where people found their final rest in teak coffins decorated with intricate designs testify to a highly developed Iron Age culture. Researchers from Germany and Thailand analyzed the DNA of ancient people to uncover connections between different communities. Between 2300 and 1000 BC, a mysterious culture flourished in Mae Hong Son province. DNA analysis of 33 ancient people from 5 coffins found that genetic relatedness played a key role in burial traditions, highlighting the importance of family ties in choosing a burial site. The study was a breakthrough in Southeast Asian archaeology, providing the first analysis of genetic and cultural relationships at the level of ancient communities. Despite the difficulty of preserving DNA in tropical climates, scientists have identified 2 major genetic lineages linked to agriculture, indicating deep connections to the Yangtze and Yellow River valleys in China. Ancient cemetery of trade caravans. Archaeologists have made an important discovery in the Negev highlands, a 2,500-year-old ancient burial site that sheds light on trade routes of the ancient world. The artifacts found confirm that the region was an important hub linking southern Arabia, Phoenicia, Egypt, and the Mediterranean. The excavations revealed the tombs of traders who crossed the desert, including merchants who carried frankincense, myrrh, and valuable goods. Among the finds were arrowheads from Yemen, jewelry, rare shells, and tools for processing frankincense. Of particular interest is the amulet of the Egyptian god Be. Its presence may indicate human trafficking in ancient times, as is confirmed by historical records of the Minutes merchants from Yemen who acquired women in Egypt, Gaza, and Greece. The burial site is located at a strategic crossroads of ancient routes leading through the desert. The wealth of the ancient elite. In the city of Larnaca in Cyprus is Hala Sultan Teke, the place where the aunt of the Prophet Muhammad, Haram, is said to have rested. But this city has another unique story that goes back 3,300 years before us. In ancient times, this town was a picturesque trading station where the world-famous copper reserves were disposed of. Due to its success in copper mining, the city attracted many of the elite of the time, as evidenced by the recent discovery of royal tombs. These tombs turned out to be a hoard of historical treasures containing more than 500 high-quality funerary items. Thanks to the diligence of local farmers who stumbled upon ancient pottery fragments, archaeologists unearthed these stunning finds using state-of-the-art earth scanning equipment. Inside these tombs, deep underground, explorers unearthed an amazing collection of objects adorned with gold, precious stones, and ivory. Among the finds were the stunning remains of a woman surrounded by ceramic vessels and a bronze mirror, and next to her was a 1-year-old child with a ceramic toy. Analysis showed that gold and ivory came from Egypt, while blue lapis lazuli and turquoise came from Afghanistan, India, and Sinai. Pottery was brought from Greece, Turkey, Syria, Palestine, and Egypt. It is not surprising that the elite of that time could afford such a luxury. After all, copper, which they mined and sold to neighboring cultures, was the most important resource, because bronze was made from it and tin. New secrets of Egyptian funeral practices. For the first time, scientists have conducted a detailed analysis of the pink and white paste used to seal coffins in ancient Egypt. The study has shown that these substances had different compositions and performed different functions. One of the first samples studied was the coffin of Pakapu, a priest and keeper of burials in Thebes who lived about 2,700 years ago. His wooden coffin, stored in the Fitzwilliam Museum at Cambridge University, consisted of 2 parts, an inner and an intermediate coffin sealed with special compounds. Analysis showed that the pink paste was used to fill structural gaps and the white served as a base for painting. Interestingly, a layer resembling papier mâché was found in the inner coffin, a multi-layered composition of linen and plaster, similar to those used for burial masks and mummy shells. The main component of both pastes was calcite, obtained by grinding limestone. However, the inner coffin used a purer material, which confirms the special attention paid to the structure that was in direct contact with the body. The pink paste, containing iron impurities, was coarser and served technical purposes. Its granular structure helped prevent shrinkage when drying. The diversity of compositions indicates that different craftsmen worked on the coffin, each using their own method. Silk Imperial Decree. In Jiji County, Handan City, in the north of Hebei Province, archaeologists have discovered a unique 5-color silk imperial decree. Apparently, it dates back to the Qing Dynasty, which means it is over 140 years old, and its dimensions are more than impressive, 2.22 meters long and 30 centimeters wide. But interestingly, this decree is written in 2 languages, Chinese and Manchu. Such a linguistic palette reflects the ethno-cultural diversity that prevailed during the Qing Dynasty. The decree was originally issued to family members of a noble official from the time of the Guangxu Emperor. Such a document played a huge role in the transmission of imperial directives and maintaining order within the empire. The study of such a document provides scientists with incredible opportunities to study various aspects of the life of the Qing Dynasty, its social culture and etiquette. The Qing Dynasty ruled over vast territories, from the Manchu homeland in the northeast to the Tibetan Plateau in the southwest. And this whole powerful empire was organized on the basis of a complex administrative system where Manchu and Chinese traditions were mixed. The influence of the Qing Dynasty continues to be felt in modern Chinese culture and history. Remains of the last crocodile in Europe. Crocodiles migrated to Europe from Africa, but climate change led to their extinction. In the province of Granada, Spain, paleontologists have found a crocodile tooth that is approximately 4.5 million years old. This instance was one of the last in Europe. It is believed that about 6.2 million years ago, crocodiles crossed the dry Mediterranean Sea, crossing from Africa to Europe. Excavations at this site began in the 2000s. During this time, over 2,000 fossils were discovered here, including the remains of elephants, reptiles, and fish. The newly found tooth, scientists say, belonged to a crocodile close to modern African Nile crocodiles.
Rapa Nui statues. Easter Island, located in the southeastern Pacific Ocean at the edge of the Polynesian Triangle, is home to nearly 1,000 monumental statues created by the ancient Rapa Nui people. The moai figures were carved from volcanic tuff in the Ranyo Raraku quarry, and many of them remain there today. However, a significant portion of the statues were moved and installed on special stone platforms called ahu along the coast of the island. The moai are notable for their disproportionately large heads, which make up about a third of the total height of the statue. These legless monuments range in height from 2 to 10 meters, although the largest unfinished statue remains in the quarry and reaches 21 meters. The moai were considered the embodiment of ancestral spirits and played an important role in the ritual life of the Rapa Nui people. It is still unclear how exactly the ancient inhabitants of the island moved these giant sculptures across the rugged terrain.
There are hypotheses that they used ropes and ingenious technologies to walk the statues to their places of installation. The moai, facing the villages, probably symbolized the protection and strength of the ancestors watching over their descendants. Tunnels that were considered a myth. For the residents of Cusco, this discovery was a real confirmation of ancient legends about underground passages and hidden treasures. Archaeologists Jorge Calero Flores and Mildred Fernandez Palomino reported the discovery of a network of tunnels under the city connecting the Temple of the Sun and the fortress of Sacsayhuaman. According to preliminary data, the tunnels date back to the late 15th, early 16th centuries. The engineering solutions used in their construction are amazing. Stone walls, similar to the famous Inca structures, are resistant to earthquakes, and a complex drainage system prevented flooding. The length of the labyrinth is about 1,750 meters. The depth reaches 2.5 meters. The tunnels have 3 branches. One leads to Calispucio, the second passes under the Church of San Cristobal, and the third connects to Sacsayhuaman. The purpose of these passages remains a mystery. Some researchers suggest that the tunnels were used by priests or military commanders for secret travel. Others believe that they had ritual significance. Small niches were found in the walls, probably intended for sacrifices. Although no gold or artifacts have been found yet, the tunnels themselves are a valuable historical discovery. Modern technologies, such as ground-penetrating radar, help to study them without destruction. Local residents actively support the research, considering the find an important part of their heritage. Rock shelter in Oregon. Imagine you find an animal's tooth. Old tooth. Very, very old. 18,000 years old. It is such a unique foundation of the remains of the past that archaeologists found in a stone shelter in Oregon, USA. If our school history has not changed, then this is one of the most ancient places where people lived in North America. This shelter, called Rimrock Drow, has been excavated by archaeologists since 2011. Here they found a lot of stone tools and pieces of teeth of ancient animals that died out during the last ice age. Among the finds, fragments of camel teeth found under a layer of volcanic ash from the eruption of Mount St. Helens are especially memorable. This eruption is believed to have happened over 15,000 years ago. And the most interesting is, they found 2 scrapers made of orange agate, one of which was covered with bison's blood. Now, scientists have proven that the camel's tooth dates back 18,250 years BC. The question of the first people in North America is a whole detective story in archaeology. It used to be thought that the representatives of the Clovis culture were the first here about 13,000 years ago. But now this date is constantly being pushed back, and scientists have not yet reached agreement. And finally, a little advice from archaeologists. If you stumble upon something interesting, don't touch it. This can derail the hard work of researchers. Glowing in the sun. During the exploration of an ancient burial complex in southwestern Spain, archaeologists have discovered the remains of women buried in ritual clothing decorated with thousands of beads. This unusual attire, according to scientists, was evidence of the high status of the owners and was used in special ceremonies. The burial, which is about 5,000 years old, is located in Valencina de la Concepción, an archaeological site near Seville. Excavations have revealed the largest collection of beads ever found in a single burial. In total, researchers studied more than 270,000 beads made from seashells, stone, and bone. One burial in particular stands out, the Ivory Lady. Her jewelry was likely associated with marine resources and trade routes of the Copper Age. According to the researchers, the mother-of-pearl beads shone in the sun, enhancing the visual effect of the outfit. Scientists believe that the beads were part of tunics, skirts, or capes strung on fabric, traces of which have been preserved. Researchers note that to make such a quantity of beads, a team of 10 people would have been needed, working for at least 7 months. The scale of the work is impressive and indicates the complex craft traditions of the time. $30,000 luck. The main character of this story was Jason Jones, a treasure hunter who was lured by the dream of a great find.
After 2 medieval silver coins were discovered earlier in this place, Jason and his wife decided to explore this land again. And they didn't fail. Here is what Jason himself says. "When I returned to the place where the coins were found, my metal detector gave out a powerful signal. And so at a depth of only 5 centimeters, I found a strange bronze object. My wife was shocked by this find. Jason did not immediately understand what he had found. Therefore, he posted a photo of the find on the social media. And imagine, his new toy turned out to be a relic of the Vikings. Jason immediately informed the archaeologists about this so that they could study this unique item in detail. Historians have established that the item found was probably used to decorate Viking helmets. It is a stamp for creating patterns on a metal plate, which is then attached to the helmet. This process is called repousse, and it creates a light decorative motif. In this case, it was a protection for the cheeks or nose of a warrior. The found plate, 14 centimeters long, weighing 186 grams, is decorated with an exquisite relief pattern, which, according to experts, represents the mythological world tree Yggdrasil, at the roots of which the snake-like creature Nidhogg lives. Metal door inside the rock. Since the beginning of the 21st century, numerous stories and rumors have surrounded the construction of the Baikal-Amur mainline in Russia, some of which surprisingly have a basis in reality. During active work on this railway line, workers encountered anomalies and paranormal phenomena, causing many to call the line ghost. Among the stories, a special place is occupied by stories about the ghost of the railway, a train passing by without a sound, which was witnessed by both builders and local residents. Scientists believe the origins of these stories may be linked to events in the 1940s when prisoners hijacked a steam locomotive during an uprising in an escape attempt. The Bayam tunnels were not spared from mysteries, in particular the Severomoisky tunnel, the construction of which took more than 25 years due to unexpected surprises that posed new challenges for the builders. The mysteries associated with these structures, including stories of a white shaman who foreshadows disasters, only enhance the aura of mysticism around the highway. At every step, builders faced new obstacles that required immediate solutions. One of the most intriguing moments was the discovery of a metal door in one of the sections of the tunnel after the breakthrough of an underground spring, which led to the death of 30 people. The door, which became a real mystery, remained an unsolved secret, as did the strange sounds coming from underground, reminiscent of knocking. Attempts to explain these phenomena range from speculation about high concentrations of radon gas, which can cause audio hallucinations, to stories of evil spirits living in the depths of the tunnel. Additional intrigue is brought by the Devil's Bridge, part of the same highway, famous for its secrets and myths. Despite all the technical and mystical difficulties, the Severomoisky Tunnel and the Devil's Bridge remain the most important structures of the BAM, and the stories associated with them continue to excite the minds of both specialists and travelers. Answers to many questions have not yet been found, and each new riddle only deepens the mystery of these places.
The oldest 3D map in the world. Archaeologists have discovered the oldest 3D map in the world, which is 13,000 years old. It was carved into quartz sandstone in the Ségonolé 3 cave shelter in France, and according to the researchers, is a schematic representation of the landscape of the Paris Basin. According to the analysis, the map shows the relief of the terrain with the designation of the directions of water flows, which was critical for the people of the late Paleolithic. According to anthropologist Anthony Milnes, for ancient people, knowledge of water flows was more important than modern concepts of distance and time. An important discovery was that Paleolithic people did not just record the landscape, but also deliberately changed it, creating artificial channels in the sandstone to manage the flow of rainwater. The creators of the map deliberately opened cracks in the stone to direct water through the settlement. This proves that already 13,000 years ago, people had an engineering mindset and a deep knowledge of hydrology. Archaeologists also suggest that the carved channels could have had mythological or ritual significance associated with water and ideas about nature and life.
Mysterious coffin. This archaeological find, discovered in Japan, will make our journey into the past even more exciting. Archaeologists have found a huge stone coffin in the ruins of the ancient Yoshinogari fortress. The length of this coffin is a whole 3.2 meters. This is 1.5 meters more than the usual tombs of that time. Inside the coffin is another one, a little smaller, about 2.3 meters long.
The coffin is composed of 4 stone slabs, each of which looks very impressive. The coffin was found in Yoshinogari Fortress, which is located in the Japanese province of Saga on the island of Kyushu. At that time, the fortress was the largest settlement in Japan, surrounded by a deep moat. Other tombs have already been discovered in the ruins of the fortress, but this coffin is the largest of all that are known to science. Scientists have determined that this giant tomb was built between the 2nd and 3rd centuries during the era of the Yamatai state. There are marks on the surface of the coffin, probably made with sharp metal tools. Some of them resemble the Japanese katana character. Probably these signs served to protect the deceased from evil forces. Scientists believe that someone very important could be buried in the coffin. After all, ordinary people were not buried on top of the hill. This is evidenced by the huge size of the tomb. The coffin will be opened soon, and what scientists will find inside we will find out in the following videos. In the meantime, you can write your guess in the comments. What might be hiding inside this giant coffin? Also, do not forget to subscribe to the channel to keep up with new finds of archaeologists. And I will continue. Name of Jesus Christ. While studying the remains of a man from Sudan, scientists at the University of Warsaw discovered a religious tattoo with a Christian symbol. These remains were found near the Ghazali Monastery dating back to the Middle Ages. On the leg of the deceased, who passed away about 1,300 years ago, a tattoo was discovered depicting a chrisma, a monogram of the name of Jesus Christ created from the Greek letters chi and rho. In addition, the Alpha and Omega symbols were depicted nearby. This symbol first appeared in 324 AD during the reign of Emperor Constantine. Alpha and Omega are the beginning and ending letters of the Greek alphabet, symbolizing the idea of God as the beginning and end of everything. An interesting fact is that the tattoo is located on the right leg because since it is there, according to scientists, that a nail could have been nailed during the veneration of Christ. This religious marking indicates the man's Christian faith. However, it is not established whether he was a monk from the Ghazali Monastery, since his remains were found in a nearby cemetery reserved for local residents. According to the analysis, he was 50 years old at the time of death. At the time, the region known as Nubia included parts of modern Egypt and Sudan, and Christianity was the main religion. Despite the fact that the remains were found 7 years ago, the unique tattoo was only recently discovered and is only the second known case of tattooing in medieval Nubia. Seated burials and a children's necropolis. In the French city of Dijon, archaeologists have discovered a unique burial site of Gauls that is over 2,000 years old. The unusual thing about the find is that all the deceased are sitting facing west, a rare ritual known only from a few places in France and Switzerland. The excavations were carried out in the garden of an old monastery where archaeologists came across 13 burials. The deceased are sitting with their hands on their torsos and their legs folded asymmetrically. The burials date back to the period 450, 25 BC. Researchers suggest that these graves could have contained priests, chieftains, or members of the same family. Next to these burials, a children's necropolis from the 1st century AD was found, where 22 infants were buried, many of whom did not live even a year. Some children were buried in wooden coffins, as evidenced by the nails found. Coins and ceramics were also found in the graves, probably burial gifts. However, part of the cemetery was destroyed due to agricultural work. The reason for the sitting burial remains a mystery. One version is related to the belief in the afterlife. Perhaps the deceased were supposed to meet the other world in a special pose. Other researchers believe that this is part of a spiritual practice. The pose could symbolize meditation or eternal peace. This is confirmed by Celtic figurines found in different parts of Europe. Ancient gates to the underworld. How about a trip to Mexico, where archaeologists have recently discovered an ancient underground temple with a door to the afterlife? Sounds mystical, doesn't it? This story began back in 1674 when the priest Francisco de Burgoa described in his notes a gigantic underground temple in the city of Mitla. Judging by his words, the temple consisted of 4 halls, one of which had a stone door leading to a deep cave. And this, guys, was not just some kind of room, it was a place that, according to the beliefs of the ancient Zapotec people, led to the afterlife, called Leoba, or resting place. But what happened next? Apparently, the entrance to this cave was walled up by the Spaniards and the temple was destroyed. Now on this site stands the Church of San Pablo, built right on the ruins of an ancient temple. Thanks to advanced research methods such as ground-penetrating radar, electric tomography, and seismic noise tomography, archaeologists have discovered a large void under the church that appears to be connected to another void to the north. The researchers also found 2 underground passages leading into this void from the east. Moreover, they even managed to find the location of the blocked entrance to the ancient cave. It seems that this story is just beginning and we have a lot to learn about the ancient Zapotecs and their beliefs. So subscribe to our channel if you don't want to miss the continuation of this fascinating study.
Ghosts in Jamaica. Sometimes a little truth and a generous helping of myths are enough to make a place truly legendary. This is how the story of Rose Hall Mansion, one of Jamaica's most famous landmarks, unfolded. This magnificent house, located on a hilltop overlooking the sea, hides dark secrets of the past. The mansion was built by plantation owner John Palmer, who named it after his wife Rose. During the plantation era, Jamaica was a place of brutal slave exploitation, and the fate of many of them was connected to this house. But the real legend began when John Rose Palmer became the owner of Rose Hall together with his young wife Annie. According to legend, she grew up in Haiti, where she was raised by a voodoo priestess. It is believed that Annie used black magic to subjugate slaves and get rid of husbands. They say she poisoned 3 spouses and executed unwanted slaves by locking them in the dungeons of the mansion. According to legend, she was killed by her own slaves and her body was walled up under the house. Since then, the ghost of the White Witch supposedly roams the mansion. Today, Rose Hall is an 18th century museum where spiritualistic sessions and tours are held. The atmospheric place attracts both lovers of mysticism and connoisseurs of history. I'm glad that you watched this video to the end, and I will be grateful if you write a kind comment under the video. This helps in the development of the channel. Thank you for your views. Bye, everyone.